Our next speaker is Jerry Huang, who is the SVP of Product Innovation and Development at Rosetta Stone. He oversees all of Rosetta Stone's language learning digital products around the world. He's got over 20 years experience in technology operations with specialty in retail and ed tech industries. Jerry, thanks for being here with us today.
Absolutely. And thanks to the prior speakers for sharing their stories. I'm happy to share Rosetta Stone's story. I have a few slides that might help anchor us in our conversation. I'll do a screen share here.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, hopefully everybody can see my screen and my presentation.
Yes, we can.
All right. So I'll talk a little bit about Rosetta Stone and kind of how all of this worldwide events are impacting us, especially in our business and more specifically to our learners. So I'm Jerry Huang. I am the Senior Vice President. I oversee all of our global products. These are our learner products. And we service pretty much over 1 million plus active learners around the world, all the way from kindergarten to adult life learners. And that kind of symbolizes who we are and our mission, our vision. Our mission is to change lives through the power of language and literacy education. And what we feel and what we see is that every person can learn to read, write, and speak with confidence, because at the core nature of any human interaction is the ability to communicate well, share stories, ask for help, be a mentor, etc. And this is what guides us in everything we do, whether it's our products, our messaging, how we work with our enterprise clients, all the way to our elementary schools, as well as to individual learners around the world. And just to give a little background, because I know a lot of people, Rosetta Stone is a well-known brand, especially here in the United States. We have over about 90% plus aided brand awareness. But what some people still think of us as the old yellow box in the airport kiosk. By the way, we haven't had an airport kiosk in over 5 years, and we stopped selling yellow boxes over 2 years ago. And so what we have to offer, and this is quite relevant to how we address the pandemic situation around the world, is what we have is an actual immersive blended learning curriculum. When we mean blended is we have aspects of digital learning. So we have apps both on web and mobile platforms, but we also have, down at the bottom, we have real human beings teaching live. So we have live tutors, we have live streams. We just started live streams actually, and live classes that are connecting learners, adult and children, all over the world. And they're learning 24 plus languages. We also serve Native American tribes in preserving their endangered languages. As their speaker base starts to dwindle, we take their language, we work with their elders and their tribal councils and preserve those languages, and then allow their younger generations to be able to enjoy both the culture as well as the language itself. And so we have over 7,000 hours of content, and we use AI for speech recognition, so we can help you actually speak with confidence, speak correctly, pronounce correctly. And we do this aligned with standards around the world. For language, we use the Common European Framework. And for literacy, we use all the K-12 standards like Common Core, WIDA, etc. As we entered this new situation, both from the fact of the pandemic, but also as we looked at the economic situation that was happening around the world, because we serve all types of learners as well as clients. We serve Fortune 500 clients that are represented by some of the speakers in the same industries, service and hospitality industry. We started to think about, and this goes back to our mission, our vision, what do we have today that we can help provide value? And it comes from a source of what does the learner need and what do the clients need? And then how can we be there for them at this moment? Because they all face the same situation as we're facing. And we are very fortunate to have a product that works really well for those that have to stay at home. And then understand what are the impacts both on an individual level as well as that corporate level, and what services can we provide to that group, and accelerate, if possible, anything on our roadmap, reprioritize, look ahead and bring forward things that maybe were down the roadmap, but now are even more meaningful. And it goes back to being super agile. I believe Jessica talked about how can you be agile and adjust with the times. And that's what we did, was we looked at our roadmap and see what's relevant today. And some things our team, and this all came from our team, which was amazing. And I think partly because they empathize, they're part of this new situation. And we now know that with schools closing, kids are at home. And even ourselves, I'm a parent as well, we started to struggle with learning at home, distance learning. I know the school systems also struggled with that. And somehow my kids have figured out how to do 6 hours of schoolwork in an hour and a half. I still wonder what's going on over there. And so now there's this whole thing of how do I keep our kids engaged, but in a way that's meaningful, useful, and really helps them. And so what we decided is we took our homeschool product and we made it available free for every parent out there in the world. And this alone was picked up very well. And we were very proud to be able to do this for parents all over the world. We had stories of, we see people, we got Facebook videos of students trying to speak Japanese who's never been even exposed to that language. We do 24 languages. So we have languages like Hebrew and Arabic, Irish. And so a lot of kids are actually connecting with their roots and starting to understand a little bit more about where they came from. So it was a great moment. And this was one of the ideas that came from our teams. And we were so proud of them to think through this, that we felt like, wow, let's do this. And then we also realized pretty quickly that there was a strong desire for social interaction. In language, especially in language world, it is about speaking, interacting, connecting with a global community. And what we did was we said, we have an amazing tutoring base, and they do a wonderful job. Their customer satisfaction rate is 95% or higher. And they teach people from all over the world, and they know how to interact. Why don't we bring them all together, give our learners free live coaching, and have that social interaction, and let them also practice that language skill that they've been, working super hard, and experience that with someone, learn about culture too. And so now we can expand not only their language horizon, but also learn more about the culture that they're from that language, regarding that language. And then what we did was we pulled some things from our roadmap. I mentioned earlier, we had in our roadmap this concept of doing live streams, just like we're doing today with this webinar, but bringing our amazing coaches to the forefront in a consumable way. Live tutoring, while it's amazing and you can connect and have that interaction, it can be daunting if you've never done it before, but live stream is a really low barrier, low friction, but still with live chat and interacting, and you can learn, as well as you can learn with 500 other, we did our first live stream in Spanish, and we had 500 people come in, and they were talking to each other, this is Coach Elizabeth, she's one of our best tutors, and asking her questions. We posted an on-demand video. She did this about food from her region. So it was a really great moment to see. And I'll give you an example. her video went out in one of her live sessions, because now live streaming is becoming such a big thing. The capacity for all of these companies are starting to get hit, and her video and audio went out, and we thought, oh no, we're going to lose all these folks. And no, they still continued. The live chat was working, and they kept interacting with her and with each other. And it's just this desire for social interaction, but through a digital media was really impactful. And we were, again, these are all ideas that spawned from either our roadmap that was from our product team or from our other marketing teams, for example. And I know there was a couple of questions about how do you engage with your learners, and how do you, have the right message and not be tone deaf, for example, or ignorant to what's going on. And ultimately, I suggest talking to your people, because they're going through the same thing. And ultimately, it's about empathy. I'm pretty positive that we'll come out strong. We'll make it through, and we'll come out stronger. And I think we have about 1,000 employees, and if you listen, because they're all going through the same thing as your customers, they have a lot of great ideas, and a lot of times that kind of message and tone can help guide your message and tone to your customers. And there are times when you need to be serious and you need to empathize. And then we also need to recognize that sometimes we're too serious, right? We need to take a moment and realize we're all in this together. And so again, this is actually, I was going to show a video here. Hopefully the video and the audio comes through, but this was something our team came up again from our marketing team directly. Some guys took some videos, and we got the licensing from the TikTok. Someone mentioned about using TikTok, the massive explosion of TikTok everybody keeps talking about. So we had the team compile a little montage, and it resonated really well with the whole organization and with our customers. So if you guys will indulge me, I'll play it. It's only 30 seconds here, and hopefully the audio comes out okay. Hopefully the audio went through okay there. But yeah, there's everybody's going through this at some level. And again, it's how we listen and talk to them as well. And through all this, as we look at marketing and the aspects of this, everybody's talking about the situation. And I think there is a strong desire to talk about, obviously the seriousness and what's going on, but there's also the opportunity to let folks know what's out there, not only what we can do to help, but what others can do to help. And, the media has picked up on this. And again, we're really proud of what we've been able to do in these tough times. And look, we're going to face tough times too. We have clients that are, again, in these same industries as represented here. And our message to them is, we're here for you. Just let us know what we can do for you. We're not going to hound you with sales calls. There's no point, right? You have other things that are more important. Take care of your employees and your customers. But in the meantime, how can we help? We've given licenses out to folks in the service industry that aren't even our clients, not because we want to close a deal per se, but we empathize with them, and we know exactly the same process that they're going through, we're going through. As a leader in my company, we're having those tough conversations. And so we're here for them while we can be. And if there's anything they need, we do what we can for them at the same time. So again, back to, it's really about listening and really honing in and being there when you can. And then if there's anything we can give and serve, then we do our best to do that. And I found our employees to be a massive resource through that. And as we look ahead, and sometimes it's also pretty tough to look ahead because you're looking at the day-to-day. Again, we all have to have that strong belief that we will come out of this even stronger. And we want to take the chance and opportunity to make those investments where it does have both near-term and long-term. And again, it goes back to our mission and vision is supporting our learners and understanding their perspective. And then listening to our clients, both schools and corporations. And again, knowing what's their pain points and what they're going through. And then anticipating and trying to anticipate what their needs will be as they exit out of this. Because that's where we can be super helpful through that. And then again, looking back at who you are, you as a brand, as a company, and really digging deep into what drives your organization, what makes your brand strong, what makes your product strong, and believing in that and investing in that. So thank you. I'm open for questions. Hand it back to me.
Thank you so much, Jerry, and I appreciate you sharing with us how you guys, I mean, from what you've shared, it looks like you've done a great job leveraging TikTok to create kind of a fun video. I've seen, I think, one of the videos on TikTok that was really trending with I think the son with his mom or grandma playing, and like there was so many cool content in TikTok, and you guys leverage that, which is very awesome. And also how you pretty much, even though that was not the intent, you were able to get a lot of free PR just for doing the right thing. And I know Jessica at the beginning when she talked about like brands that are doing the right thing are going to be remembered once we're back to normal. And I think the Rosetta Stone is definitely leading the way there. With that, I have a question that I've received about have the effects been different or similar across nations? Are you guys, since you guys are a global company, are you shifting more of your, I know a lot of your contact is online anyways now. Yeah. Are you shifting more traditional dollars to digital marketing in Korea, like you're doing in the US, or what kind of shifts from a marketing perspective are you guys experiencing globally?
Yeah, so we actually, so globally, we're pretty strong in the US, Canada, and Western Europe primarily. We're not as strong in other outlying markets. And we did have to we had expansion plans internationally as we looked in Asia, for example, I mean, you mentioned. And what we decided to do is a couple of things. One was, as we were looking at spend, look at where our learners, our potential clients are spending time on, like you guys mentioned, a lot more digital. Social media has been a huge aspect because people are reaching out to us particularly. We did re-examine our digital paid, and again, just being super optimal about it. Our European business is doing pretty well from a consumer side. And so we are looking at how can we expand in further countries outside of Western Europe and further into Europe as well. And again, from an enterprise side, that's been a traditional kind of sales approach. And we've just been reaching out to folks and saying, how can we help? That's really the only message we give to them. We don't try to push, of course, if we can have an opportunity to make a sale, we will. But right now, our message is, how can we help?
Awesome. And we do have one last question for you, Jerry. And the question is, in addition to the shift in work and school environment, there is also the aspect of people's minds being elsewhere with all of the anxiety caused by by COVID-19. How would you say your company has had to adjust to help customers focus and really absorb information during their learning
Hmm.
when their minds might sometimes be elsewhere?
That's a really good question. And actually, that's actually where our live streams were kind of born out of. So the idea was, look, social distancing means I have less social interactions. And while, you know, you can FaceTime and whatnot, uh, there was a need to, as they're going through this, you know, a lot of our folks are learning to, they learn Spanish because they're going to go travel to Latin America. They're learning French because they were going to have that wonderful trip to Paris, and all of those trips are canceled. Or they're learning, I had someone learning Hebrew because they wanted to be able to speak to their in-laws. And all of these great stories where they could connect, and now they don't have that opportunity to travel and do that. And so by having these live streams, this is exactly how it allows them to kind of be there without being there, and continue that. So we know so in the education world, we know that kind of the number one metric we always try to get is engagement. And our live streams and our tutoring, our tutoring has always driven high level of engagement, but it's also kind of a high friction, meaning it's tough. You get a schedule, you have a little bit of anxiety. Do I look okay? You know, did I practice my homework? But with live stream, those barriers are a lot lower, and we implemented that literally in less than 7 days into our product, because our teams were so hyped up about it. They wanted to do this so people could have more interaction. So absolutely, it helps keep them focused, and realize there is still a world out there, even though I've been literally sitting in my office for 10 hours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jerry, for all of your insights. And thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.